and here we go.
There's the deluge. Here's ignition.
Following up.
Did it just do a Kerbal?
Back to the moon and beyond.
Put that in the big bag, Jingle.
Back at home, we all have a lot of work to do, but from here, it sure looks like a perfect world.
Propulsion continues to be normal.
We did have an observation. 343 unfolds to go.
It's orange!
Water towers can fly!
Bingo! Right in the center.
Where's Jacqueline? There it is!
That was surreal.
That's not what we want to see.
No!
Oh my god.
Yikes, you bet. Sure. We don't need any more of these.
Been a little over a month since the last Starship flight, and believe it or not, we're back here with some tank watching. Hello everyone, and welcome to this really amazing welcome back, I guess, to more tank watching. It's one of those things where we see a starship get frosty and maybe making some planned fire, hopefully today on this stream. I'm not gonna be alone. I'm gonna be here accompanied by the one and only Ryan Weber. Hello Ryan, how's it going?
Hey, yeah, everyone, how's it going? Yeah, we're here to watch Ship 40 complete what we think is going to be a static fire. Obviously, we're waiting to see. It's one of those things with testing, but a lot of times when SpaceX, after they've already gone through all their testing and everything else, sometimes they just don't do spin primes anymore and they just go straight to static fires. So that's kind of what we're hoping to see today. Otherwise, yeah. We're fine. We're into more Flight 13 testing. Booster 20 is still in Mega Bay 1. It's still getting work done on it. But yeah, at this rate, I'm based off of the fact that we already have like a 2/3 full LOX tank, give or take, and we should be starting to see methane frost soon. I would expect a T0 of like 515, 520. So we're already getting pretty close. They started chill down right around 4 p.m., so kind of tracks.
Yeah. Okay, well, as usual, we're going to be here answering your questions. Tag at NASASpaceflight in chat or at NSF. We have these views, of course, you can see there from the rocket ranch at the outpost there at Starbase. We've got other views as well. I believe Caesar has also gone out as well to capture views. Colleen is also out there. So we've got full force out there. Of course, here in the studio, we also have our producer. I believe for this one is Mr. Kevin Michael Reed, if I'm not mistaken. Although if I'm wrong, he can correct me in the back channel. But pulling all the levers and pushing all the buttons, although maybe not so many buttons this time around. But in any case, folks, we're gonna stand by here and see what's gonna be happening. Hopefully, what you said, Ryan, like maybe less than 20 minutes from now, they might do whatever test they might be doing today, right? So we'll keep an eye on things. For the moment, you can see there, Ship 40 is fully frosty. Well, at least close to fully frosty on the liquid oxygen tank. Is that a methane frost ring appearing on the ship? What I'm seeing?
I don't see methane frost yet.
Okay.
It's hard to tell, though. The lighting gets kind of fun, especially when you have pretty clear skies out there and you get long-range cameras. You can definitely see where the frost line is on the LOX tank. That much is obvious.
Yeah.
But I would not be surprised to see a methane frost line sooner rather than later here.
Funny because this angle sort of gives when it gets frosty, the ship sort of looks like a penguin sort of thing because it's black and white but on the side, and so yeah, it's very noticeable when it starts getting frosty. So I'm starting to get already some of your questions in chat, and so let's hit some of those. Right. Once we get closer, remind me about that because handling all of the things at the same time, it's a bit hard. I gotta commentate while also having to be host as well, so it's a bit of a double job here. But yeah, we got a few questions that probably don't surprise you because we all are probably wondering the same, which is, do you guys know if they changed anything on the ship because of the issues on Flight 12? So that is a great question. I don't know, like, have you seen anything, Ryan, at least visually from the outside?
I kind of had a quick glance. Other than the different types of tile patches, I haven't seen anything different on the ring sections themselves, but I haven't been able to do a detailed pass over it yet. Internally, of course, we don't know if there were changes made to the Raptor engines, made to the Raptor engine mounts, or the plumbing system at all. Of course, SpaceX doesn't tell us every time they make changes. As much as I would love that, they don't do that. So the ship is, as far as we know, is still pretty much the same as 39. There's probably changes and whatnot. I think there's a methane frost ring now, so that's a good sign. So we just don't know, really, until SpaceX tells us if they've made changes or not. We won't learn that until like that update right before Flight 13 or something. As for Massey's itself, though, I can say that you're looking at that truss structure that they introduced for Block 3 of ships, and it now has a permanent staircase. Was probably one of the reasons why 40 took so long to get out there, is they wanted to finish that permanent staircase. They've been using scaffolding for a while, so that truss structure is pretty much there to stay for a bit. They don't have anything hooked up as far as I know right now. I know the flaps are open, but I do not think the forward and aft flaps are hooked up to the truss structure at this time.
Do they have the squeezing things like we saw in 39?
They're not lifted at all. They're
not. Right? Okay.
They are over by, I think they're just kind of off to the side. They're like in between the old nose cone jail and everything. They're just kind of laying down on the ground at the moment. They may do an extra test where they put those on because, of course, they have not done that testing with 40 yet. If they feel like they want to do that testing, then those will get installed onto the truss structure, and then they'll do that test after this. Or it's just this engine test and it goes back. We'll have to wait and see, obviously, what SpaceX does. 40 isn't... they don't really need to rush 40, per se, because once they do the engine testing, it's final mods, put the payload on, and it's ready to go. It's booster that's behind because the pad's not ready yet. They have been doing a lot of...
1 minute, because I got a question about that, so I'm going to hit that. Okay. And then you answer. Because Terry 895+, because, since we got questions about this, let's talk about them. When do you think Booster 20 will be fully ready for static fire campaign? Because we see Ship 40 here doing its engine test campaign, but what about Booster 20? Now, go.
That's going to be that's a big question mark. I don't think 20 is going to static fire for at least another 2-3 weeks, give or take. The pad's not ready for it anyways. They're doing some mods. They're adding some stuff to the tower. I think they are doing LOX reclaim now on the tower. So that's a thing we're kind of watching. We'll have to wait and see how that goes. Because they have a new trench that's dug next to the old commodities trench going into the tower. They're still finishing up their work with the chopsticks. They took off all the dampers, took off the landing rails, swapped them in with lighter landing rails, and they've also been doing a bunch of other work, like adding more doublers and reinforcements across the sticks. So there's a lot of chopsticks works that has to get finished. They need the dampeners in. They need all that stuff in before they ever put a vehicle back on the mount. I think the mount itself is probably ready for a vehicle. They still have the scaffolding, a floor up under it, so that has to come out first. But there's multiple components until Booster 20 static fires right now, so I'm still thinking at least a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens with the booster, of course, as you said. There's also the pad and things like that. So that sort of ties in with another question. I'm sort of tying in all of these questions together because obviously they're all semi-related to each other, which is if there is a static fire, like this is from Resist2Jet, if there is a static fire today, does that fit the timeline for a mid to late July launch? And apart from that, we have also Gabriel Plays also asking us, about Flight 13 launch date predictions. So I'm gonna go first because you've talked a little bit already. It's my time. So I'm gonna say there's the timeline, at least as you mentioned, Ryan. It looks like at least the timeline for the ship has margin. There seems to be a little bit of time there for a July launch from the ship side of things. It's definitely the booster that sort of concerns me. In that sort of race to get a launch in July. We'll see, because if they also try to shorten the timelines and things like that, then maybe we can get that. Let's see what happens, but definitely could have at least the static fire campaign of Booster 20. I think it's going to happen next week. Not next week. Excuse me. Next month. wrong period of time. but yeah, I was basically saying that, you know, if we see at least the Booster static fire campaign next month, then at least early August. I don't know. It seems like there doesn't seem to be a lot of work. But, you know, we also don't know a lot. So This is just gut feeling here that I have, basically.
If it were just the ship, then yeah, I'd say mid July. But the pad and the booster aren't ready. So
yeah.
And it's not that they're refurbing the pad necessarily. It's more of they're actually doing mods to it that they've probably been waiting to do, and they just didn't want to do. They didn't want to delay Flight 12. For these, or there's other things that they're seeing and whatnot after the flight. Remember, it's still a brand new pad, so they're still going to be doing changes to it, refining things here and there as they keep going. So, yeah, I think the vents are starting to die down a little bit. Once the two big vents going, so you got the one on the left, one on the right.
Oh.
One on the left is your methane subcooler vent. The one on the right, the big one on the right, is your LOX box fan. Once those die down a bunch and nearly shut off, that's kind of when we're getting much closer. So
It's true that the flaps moved, so that means we probably under 10 minutes to
They just
whatever test. Yeah, they moved like a minute ago.
So
It was around 5:12 or so.
So like 5:23 then, or 5:22.
Yeah. Somebody was mentioning that if it is next week, it's actually next month too. I'm sorry. Look, I have a very
Time
bad
is time.
perception of time, okay? Because it's true that next week it is next month. Real quick before continuing here, especially as we're getting closer to whatever test they do, we think it's going to be a static fire, most likely a static fire, based on all of the indicators and whatnot. I will stand by and see what happens. I'm going to hit some support here that's already come out. I mean, people already... this is from one paranoid survivor. They gifted 10 Red Team memberships. So that's a lot of people already, like 10 people that are able to access our membership program. And that means you can see all of the new cool stuff as well that we are posting about. A new reusable spacecraft, I guess, that's on display. That'll be quite a thing already to come out. But yeah, I was referring to the shuttle, by the way. but anyways, yeah. So we are here probably then less than 7-8 minutes away, since this was at 12 minutes past. And
yeah,
so
I would
that
say
means
like 5:22 is what I'd say we're at.
we should then start to look at the tank farm, I guess, because propellant load should be wrapping up, or is it already done?
I think what they do would ship a lot, because they started the prop load at around 4:55 or so, a little bit like 4:52, 4:53. I think they do about a 20 to 25 minute prop load here at Massey's. So they do that, and then they kind of hold for a bit as they kind of top things off, pressurize everything. I think they double check a lot of different systems at Massey's before they do a test. So like they, test the flaps, do extra checks and whatnot. Something that I wouldn't want to say not at launch, but we don't see the flaps tested T-minus 10 minutes. So they do extra things because they're of course testing the vehicle rather than launching it. So they're probably just holding things. They're basically they load it, they go into a hold for a bit, check over systems, make sure everything's good, make sure it isn't gonna pull an S-36. But there's no Jerry there, so we're fine. We're fine. Jerry's not at Starbase, so we're fine.
Don't tempt the fate, because you know, if suddenly this thing just turns into an orange blob, let's not.
I'm on a good track. I have not been on a single Starship stream, and I'll probably jinx it if I say it. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to say that because I'll probably jinx it if I do that. But I've had a good track record. I'll just put it that way. So maybe it won't. It should. I hope it's fine and it does its full test, and then we get Flight 13 in like a month, like 5-6 weeks. So.
I mean, I'm gonna be selfish here. There's gonna be a solar eclipse in August, like August 12th, and it's here in Spain, and so I'm gonna be out there on the north watching it. I'm not gonna be home, so I really want this launch to either happen really soon, well before that eclipse happens, or well after. Like, it cannot be an in between. It cannot be around that week of the eclipse. Right? Because otherwise I'm not going to be home. And I really want to enjoy the next flight again. And big screens and everything. But anyways, we are getting close to the test. If it is a static fire, right, to put people that might be new, probably not the majority of the people, because probably a lot of the people watching right now, they are all tank watchers and things like that. But for the people that might not know, Massies is not that easy to, in terms of visibility, when there are things that are not static fires. And even for things like checking up on events that may happen within a few seconds beforehand of the static fire, if there's a static fire, right? Like turning on the deluge. Sometimes at this distance, there might be some very subtle ways of seeing that, but you often only realize them after the fact, if I'm not mistaken. Because sometimes they fire the deluge and then the test happens within like 10 seconds or something like that. And so we're just going to see the exhaust. Whenever the static fire happens, we may see the engines, the fire itself coming down from the engine bay, and then a lot of the vapor from the deluge, basically. But other than that, we're not going to get a lot of, say, 30 seconds to static fire or something like that. Like we see, for example, with a booster on the pad, or when they are about to launch, and we see all of these indicators because we are way closer and things like that. So we'll just stand by here and see what happens. Do we think it's going to be 60 seconds like they've done for Ship 39 if it is a static fire?
Yeah, probably. I was actually surprised they did a full 60 for 39. I was actually kind of surprised at that. They could just go back to a 10-second though. I wouldn't put it past them, but considering the Raptor issue they had in flight, maybe they'll do a full 60 again to test whatever. If they did a fix and they can test it on the ground, maybe they do a full 60 to make sure something like that doesn't happen again. I could also see that as well. So
yeah, we'll see.
Other people were to the trench. So
yeah, other people were asking as well that there was that RVAC issue during flight. Will they may do something along the lines of trying to test that on the static fire stand?
By the way, the vents have died down a lot, so
yeah,
that's a good indication we're getting really close. So
yeah,
and hi Jack in chat.
Yeah, I see Jack. Don't worry, here there's no bacon being burned. But yeah, a lot of the vents on the tank farm seems to have died down on both the oxygen side and also on the methane side on the left, if I'm not mistaken. It seems like they are all sort of very, very, very quiet. Ooh, is that a new view? That's a new view.
There you go.
That's an interesting view. Much closer as well.
I think
we hit the enhance button. But yeah, I believe this might be Caesar, if I'm not mistaken. Indeed, it is Caesar. We've been told in the back channel. It is him. So thanks for rolling out there and giving us these views.
Be like 30 seconds from now, any minute now.
Yeah.
That's great.
Any moment, we'll see, hopefully, that static fire test. If it is not a static fire test, if it is like a spin prime, it's going to be a little bit more underwhelming, but still an important milestone here as they get closer to Flight 13. Remember that sometimes spin primes might not go as planned, so those are also important to keep an eye on. I mean, look at Booster 18. It didn't even get to the point of getting cryo. So, and yeah. It's quite important to keep track of these milestones as the vehicles continue to progress for flight. It's part of the whole deal. Yeah, Jack, I also remember Booster 7. I was in that live stream. It was one of the woes of that live stream. It was me, Thomas, and Chris. That was an epic live stream, that's for sure. There's that little vertical tank there venting a little bit. That's part of the tank farm systems, right?
That should be the methane reclaim vent.
So very similar to the one that we see on the orbital launch pad. See,
I think I see some venting on here and there off the
it's really complicated.
deluge. Near the deluge systems.
Yeah, we'll see when we see that fire. Not gonna take any more questions because of this, because it's like, are we gonna get a static fire? Could be any minute now. Or any second even.
The methane reclaim vent is kind of interesting.
Huh. Ship is venting.
Yep.
That is also interesting. Also shedding some of the ice. I can see the flakes. I seem to remember Ship 39 doing a very similar thing before its static fire. Maybe we're getting close?
It's not doing like any depress. I know that. I can tell you that. There's not
Yeah, because
really
it's not a
vent.
long... Yeah, it's not a long continuous vent. It's more like releasing a little bit of pressure, then it closes, then it turns on again, then it closes. It's weird. Lots of ice coming off as well. Look at that.
Yeah, kind of cool.
It's a white summer at Starbase. But yeah. Well, I mean, we'll keep waiting for this. Let's see what happens. Still standing by.
That methane reclaim vent on has me a little bit kind of worried. A lot of times you only turn that on if you're taking methane back into the tank farm.
They still have not done the depress, right? So,
No, so either
like the long one that we usually see at the start of such process. And by the way, if this was thruster testing, trust me, these ships have like 20 times more thrusters than just that vent on the side of the liquid oxygen tank. And we only see one vent. They're not testing the thrusters. That vent is a little bit more continuous.
it might be detanking.
Welp. That wouldn't be
I
great.
don't know if they did anything. Could have been an abort. Problem is we don't know if they did an SP or an igniter. From that far away, I mean, these cameras are mile plus away. So you might not even hear the igniter off only 6 engines. An SP is almost impossible to see with Massies these days. So don't really know. But with the methane reclaim vent going as much as it is, and nothing else happening.
Yeah, and also the venting as well.
Yeah, I think you're detanking.
Well, that was odd. But hey, we got maybe a test. Maybe it was on a board. Could have been. Who knows? They might try again. That's the old, like, this is the things that we have to endure as tank watchers. You all know just the same thing as we do in terms of what they're going to be doing today, because SpaceX doesn't go out and says, hey, we're doing this and we're doing that. That's not a thing. In fact, it's actually not a thing at all in the industry. Like, it's very rare that anybody out there, says, we're doing this, we're doing that with their pre-launch testing. It's very weird whenever that sort of thing happens. So we're going to just, like, we can only just guess. And today we're like, well, maybe they're going to be doing a static fire. And we were hoping to see a static fire. We only saw that they were loading a lot of propellant, which is usually a sign of them about to do a static fire. But we did not see any static fire. So it could be two options there. Either they had an abort, or, well, we were wrong and it was not being planned as a, like, we were just hoping for a static fire, but it probably wasn't. And so it might have been a spin prime, and it's just so hard to see these spin primes on the Massey outpost when they do those things that it's really, quite complicated to guess if those happened. And so we'll stand by. Maybe we can pull some replays, producers, hi, and maybe check if there was any kind of test. But definitely one of the key signs here will be if they reopened the road to Massey's. So for context, Massey's is out there, like, sort of separated from Highway 4. The road to the Starbase beach, Boca Chica beach, it doesn't get closed or anything like that. It's separate, but there is one road that leads to this site, and that one does get closed. So if they were to wrap up the testing for today, then that one will have to be opened, right? And so that is going to be one of the major indicators as we still see what happens with this vehicle. Of course, it will also be another big great indicator if they somehow tried something else with the ship, like, say, detank and then retank again and try for another test. Then that'll be another big indicator that they might be testing again today. But that's where we are right now.
I am literally not seeing anything. I'm scrubbing back and forth between about... let's see here. What's the exact time? Turns on at around 22, almost exactly at 5:22. Maybe like 5 seconds earlier than that, so maybe 5:21:55 is when the methane reclaim vent turns on. And I will say this, if looking at the frost on the LOX tank right now, even the slight that you can see right there, you can see it's kind of jagged. That's usually
it's like drooping.
That's a good indication that they don't have a solid frost line anymore, which means they don't have a solid liquid line in there, and it's detanking. So it's hard to know if they did an SP or an igniter, unless anyone in the field heard anything.
In this view here, if they fired, for example, the deluge, just to put an example, if they fired a deluge, will we see anything there?
Maybe. It depends. I guess it depends on the weather conditions, if we would see any mist out of the trench. Because you're not really going to see much So sometimes you might see the depress off the tops of the tanks, like a slight depress off of that, but I didn't even see anything like that. So I don't even think the deluge even fired at all.
So either it was a test that did not include deluge, or it was on a board way before it happened, right? Like way before they even got to the point of the deluge.
Yeah, I think they had an abort before they even fired off the deluge, and nothing even happened, and they immediately turned on the methane reclaim vent and started to detank. I think that's what happened, but of course it's really hard to know because it's hard to see or hear anything at Massey's. So we'll just have to wait and see if they test tomorrow, which they likely would at this rate, because the ship's not going to leave until they do a static fire. I'm going to say that. They need that done. That's part of their pre-flight testing. So one way or the other, we'll very likely get testing tomorrow. They'll detank. If it was an abort, they'll take a look at what happened, figure out what went wrong, and fix it or whatever. Change parameters or whatever they have to do. If it wasn't, and it was a spin prime or an igniter test, then if it was a spin prime, the next step is a static fire. If it's an igniter test, well, based off last time, the next step is a spin prime and then a static fire after the fact. But I don't really expect them to do that kind of setup again. They only did it once. Ship 39 Booster 19 were the first ever Block 3 vehicles, first ever vehicles to have R3 on them. So they took their time with that. This is the second time around. They've flown with them. The flight was pretty successful for the engines, relatively speaking. Considering how new everything was, it was pretty dang successful. So I don't think they would, as much as it would be nice to have them to be that cautious, I don't think they would be that. I would kind of expected them to just go straight to a static fire, to be honest. There's no real need to do a spin prime again, unless they've really felt like they needed to.
Yeah, the only times that I've seen them doing a spin prime or anything like that has been when, for example, after they had already done their engine test campaign and they had to change an engine, then maybe they did a spin prime after that, or even like an igniter test nowadays, because didn't that happen with Ship 39 as well? I think it happened, right? That they did some kind of igniter test or a spin prime after it had already done its engine test campaign, but before the launch happened. Of course, before the launch, because so far they have not reused any ship. They have not even caught a ship yet, so obviously it had to be before the flight. But you know what I mean. Yeah, let's see. We got some questions. I guess if they are detanking, we have plenty of time to go through some of those, and of course some support as well. Let's see. Biteford here, for example, with a $25 super chat, saying, need something to smile about. Home inspection for client was pretty bad. Come on, Ship 40. Let's have a great static fire. I really, really, really want to have a static fire as well. Like, I want to see a static fire of Ship 40, Biteford, but it's not yet, at the very least. We'll see. We'll see when it happens. We'll stand by if it happens today, and you know, they continue with today's testing here at Massey's. Scott with a store message. Thank you to the team for being on site, giving us great video and photo access all over the world to such a historic time. They got a print, I think. That is Starship Evolution. That is the one with a Star Hopper in view of the Flight 12 stack lifting off, which is really amazing because it shows how much things have evolved in what, like 6 years, right? Under 6 years now. So yeah, thank you for that. Let's see. We have a few questions sort of related to potential, let's say this might happen in a few flights. How about that? Let's talk about Florida, because Lego Rocket said 7F. It's a bit of a weird end of the name, but I'll take that. When the ship comes to Florida and re-enters, will it go over the land?
Yep.
And now I'm gonna
For-
say that will happen
ahead.
also when it re-enters for Starship, for Starbase, I guess.
It'll go over a good chunk of northern Mexico, southern U.S.
Yeah.
Like it's the reentry trajectory for Starbase. Depending on, of course, on the inclination of launch, but one of the first ones they're approved for is just south of L.A. and San Diego, just kind of going over, was it Baja California?
Yeah.
And just over northern Mexico. Almost kind of threads the needle a little bit around the border between U.S. and Mexico. And then it'll do a hook north of Brownsville, south of San Antonio. It'll do a slight hook and turn, and that's where it does its banking maneuver, its aerodynamic dynamic banking maneuver, and then it'll come south and basically thread the needle again between Port Isabel and South Padre Island, and then it'll belly flop and flip, burn, get caught by the tower. At least that's for Pad 2. That's the trajectory they're going to do, because the tower is facing south, basically. So that's the trajectory they have planned for ship catches at Starbase right now, until Pad 1's operational again. For Florida, it goes over Mexico or most of the U.S. for on reentry. You're talking like shuttle-like reentries at that point. It's going to go fly right over Texas, coming back in, like the shuttle.
Yeah, and I guess that's sort of the point as well, that, you know, the launches are on the coast, and therefore both in Florida and at Starbase. And that means when they launch, it's true that they go over the water and, you know, they don't have to put anybody in danger. But when you re-enter, especially with Starship or even back with shuttle, the re-entry corridor is so big, like it spans the entirety of the width of the Indian Ocean when it re-enters and splashes down on the Indian Ocean. It's like there's no way this thing is coming down to either Starbase or Florida and it doesn't see any kind of land, right? Like it has to, just by pure simple geometry, basically. Like, is this huge swath of the re-entry corridor, and then you gotta put it on top of, you know, some place on the Earth that at the end has either Starbase or Florida. There's just no way to not hit land. There is only one way where you can do a re-entry like that and hit like a coastal place, which is if you were to land the ship like on the west coast of the United States, and then you have the entirety of the Pacific Ocean there. But there's no place for a ship to land there. So you gotta have to do it. The shuttle did. The shuttle had Edwards, right? It still had to go over land a little bit, right? And there were plans also to potentially also like land at the runway at Vandenberg, but that never happened. But yeah, I mean, it's gonna happen one way or another. At one point, Starship will have to fly over land as it re-enters, and you know, it's a reality that's gonna have to happen at some point. Just like we see, for example, with Dragon, sometimes they also have to re-enter over land, especially when they did re-entries on either on the Gulf or on the Atlantic Ocean. We used to see sometimes people being able to see Dragon contrails and things like that as they re-entered. So yeah, it's just gonna happen. And yeah, I believe. Yeah, I saw this. So I'm having like a little in the meantime as I'm talking about this. There is a note both from our chat and also from our back channel chat that there was like a flash around 5:24:22 or something like that. This is from for example here we got one of those. So an orange flash. Was this maybe an igniter test? And we're trying to get that together. I saw like a preview of that in our back channel.
Wonder if that was.
I'm sure.
I wonder if that's either. Okay, well, because I was looking at a lot of the long range cameras and I didn't see a thing. I think the only camera that saw it was Caesar's, because you can,
Yeah.
you can see a flash in between the gap of the skirt of the ship and the bottom and the top part of the ship's stand, and that could have either been an igniter or it could have been an abort. That could have been they went to light everything. They went to light it off and it just instantly aborted. I could see that too. So we don't really know if that was igniter or abort. So I'll just say that. It could have been an auto abort, and the engine's never revved up enough to actually make any steam out of the trench or anything.
Yeah, we'll see if we can get that and try to look at it closely, because it's definitely interesting. It is true that now with the new design of the igniter, they have to fully, well, not fully, but like they have to load propellant on the ship, right? Which is some of the changes, at least, that have happened since version 2. Ah, there we go. Clearly not stabilized, but there we go. That's
there.
See, you all saw that? Hang on, maybe we can replay again. Gonna be bad. There we go. That's it.
And then it's kind of a puff out from under the mount.
It's also
too.
look at that. You can see all of the flakes. Remember we were talking about that?
Yeah, I think that was an abort.
Huh?
That's me.
Yeah, all of the flakes of ice and everything coming up from the ship. You think it got to the point of like actually shaking up the like if it had been, I'm trying to sort of imagine here what may have happened. Oh, there we go. Even more zoomed in without stabilization. We're gonna make everybody dizzy. But like, could it have produced even just a little bit of thrust to be able to shake loose some of that?
I see two.
Yeah.
Separate?
I see like even like a start of a plume, maybe. Like it doesn't look like.
I think it tried to fire and it aborted.
Yeah, I don't see like when
I think
we
that was an
saw
abort.
Yeah. Because in other times when we saw
you see the gas
igniter
come out
testing,
after the fact.
Yeah, I see what
Yeah.
I see what you mean.
I think that's an abort. I think that was an aborted static fire.
Interesting.
Either vehicle side abort or yeah, maybe
Because when they're doing
dealership
an
fire.
igniter test, just to put in, I mean, we only have seen properly. Oh, hang on. Did you see? You can see also. I'm gonna. Oh, you can see another flash in the gap in between the static fire stand and the ship skirt. In that gap, there.
Yeah.
Saw that?
Yeah.
There's like
No,
a
yeah,
gap.
there's two. Yeah.
There's a gap below, and then there's another one. I thought we were all talking about the one below, but you can also see another one up top.
Well, the first one I noticed was the one in between the gap between the ship skirt and the stand. That's the first
Could
one
that
I
have been?
noticed.
Could the first one have been the RVAX and the other one the sea levels because it was further up?
Wait a minute. I need to look at something real quick. Stand by.
I'll give you the time, but yeah. See, it's super quick. We need to slow this down. We're just getting here into CSI mode.
This is
here.
we're gonna start investigating this because I actually think something else happened. Stand by.
See there.
I have a different theory, but I need to prove it in a second.
Whatever happened, it seems like it happened like in two banks, which makes sense because it was like RVAX and sea levels probably. That's my complete guess. Like I'm completely guessing here, folks. See, one and then the other. And the first one appears like lower, and then the other one appears a little bit higher. We're going super slow-mo. There's one, and then there's the other. Yeah, thanks for that. There's the one, and then the other. Yeah, the other one is a little bit higher, like to the left up from where that one was.
I don't think we should be able to see a flash between the ship skirt and the stand.
Then what was it?
If
'Cause
I'm
I'm really
remembering
curious.
correctly, there is no
That
gap
one.
there. The skirt basically seals itself to the stand, if I remember correctly here. I don't think that. I think that was something else.
Then what could have been?
I don't know. Because they run.
But you see it, right? What I'm talking about
yeah.
there.
Unless I'm misremembering, Jake.
Unless it's
Jake,
it's light from Venus being reflected on a balloon.
I don't know. It's
Whatever.
Just weird. Because that flash would be it'd be a
Oh yeah,
sea
so I'm
level,
gas reflected
likely.
off Venus. I completely forgot about the reference, the full reference.
That would be a sea level then, and then the other flash might be in our back.
Is that a third flash afterwards?
Are we still counting more flashes?
Okay, no. I think I was just seeing the same thing replayed so many times. I'm starting to. Yeah, there. Okay, yeah. Yeah, it gets to a point where you can just see like 1,000 different things. Thanks for the ice, by the way. Yeah. Refreshing, right? In this
I'm
very
just
hot
losing
summer.
my mind. That's all.
Okay, well, so they tested something. They did something with the engines, whether it was on a board or an igniter test. It does look way different than when they do an igniter on the booster. But to be fair, on the booster, they have a bunch of things going on at the pad, so I'll give them the benefit of the doubt, and also the sort of I'll give myself the whatever will be the way of telling that I could also be a dum-dum and not know what it should look like. So yeah. But hey, good times, right? Here, tank watching, good old times.
I'm gonna go with it. It was an abort. That's my thing.
Okay, everybody in chat, poll. Abort or
We need a poll
igniter
in chat.
test.
Yeah.
Yes,
We need a
yes.
poll in chat. Is this
We need
an
one.
igniter test or an abort?
We need a poll. Of course, we need one. We need some good old fighting in chat.
Does someone agree? Does
No,
everyone agree with me, or just think it was actually an igniter?
Let's see. I see a lot of igniter, abort, igniter, test. Somebody saying test. Okay, that's probably the safest way to go. I'm gonna go with test.
Something happened.
Something happened. That's for sure. Some people talking about. Look, yeah, I believe there's also football going on for whatever reason. We got a super chat here from John Marcus talking about, asking about the team we're rooting for. I'm not watching the World Cup, just saying. But I think others at NSF are. I guess you can do both tank watching and football watching. Yeah, there's the comment. Thanks for the $10, by the way.
But you know what's odd?
Yeah.
Is the methane reclaim vent was going when that happened, which is very odd, because that means they were detanking methane.
As they were doing the engine test.
They did the test. Unless I do not understand how the tank farm works, which
I mean
this is possible, but it's entirely possible that I don't know anything at all. I mean, it's entirely possible. I am an idiot, but every time they've activated the methane reclaim vent back, especially at Massey's, or even so a lot of times they do it at the launch site, it means they're trying to reclaim the methane that is going back through the lines. So they're detanking and recondensing it to get back into the tanks. So why was that on when they supposedly did a test or an abort, which I think is abort? That is the LN2 vape.
Is that the
vaporizer
producer?
Running. What?
Who's painting this? Is this Kevin or Jay or who's painting?
Those are the nitrogen vaporizers creating nitrogen gas.
It's one of our producers, that's for sure. KMR, okay.
That's normal. That actually runs the longest out of anything on this tank car.
All right, well.
Thoroughly confusing.
We'll see what happens. Yeah. Well, I guess we can take more questions and see what happens. Because it wouldn't be unheard of for them to try again. Whether it's an abort or whether it was an igniter test, they can still try today. One of the benefits that they have with Massey's that they do not have with the Launchpad is that they can close that road for however long they want. And so, yeah, we'll see. Yeah, because the Resistor Jet is asking same time tomorrow, and it's like, I don't know. That's one of the things here.
SpaceX could check everything out and test it early in the morning tomorrow, for all we know.
That's also true, yeah.
They could do it in the middle of the day tomorrow. They could do it in the afternoon tomorrow. Heck, they could do it tomorrow night. They don't have a restriction on when they can do things at Massey's. There is no environmental thing that is restricting their stuff at Massey's. That's not a thing. Not that they really even followed that at the launch site. But anyways, like they'll test the ship whenever they're ready to test the ship. So like once this is detanked and safe, you'll probably see workers go back to doing what they were doing, which is modifying the old nose cone jail. There's a new top that's going to go on it. There's a bunch of other stuff that's going to happen to it. It's getting a lot of modifications, so they're going to keep working on that. They're kind of disconnecting 18.3 from everything, so that test tank might enter a new round of testing. So I think there's some new stuff that's going to be added to it, and then they might be doing some more mods and stuff like that. If you see the LR 11,000 crane wake up in the morning and start moving around, they very likely aren't going to test anytime soon. The biggest indicator for when testing I don't know what that was for. It's the header tank. It's the tip of the ship. The biggest indicator for seeing when things are about to start at Massey's is you'll see the LR 11,000 crane sit where it is now. This is kind of its testing config. It pulls away pretty far away from the site while still on its crane matting. And then it turns its cab away as well, and then you don't see any lifts up or anything like that, and Massey's just kind of looks dead. And then of course they'll close the road and then go into that. So there are some indications to see when they're going to get started to testing, but we'll have to wait and see whenever.
I feel bad for Caesar because he went out to get us this amazing view where we got that view of the engine section. Whether it was an abort or an actual test of the igniters, we'll discuss that, I guess. But yeah, I mean, let's see what happens. It's Elias Greenhoff said, let's just call this a star test since SpaceX loves star. That's one of the things that they just named. Like there was 2 different star names just this week revealed. One was Starpipe, which is a natural gas pipeline that they're running all the way to the launch sites for their own purification and liquefaction and everything. And then there's a Star Mine, which is the name for the AI satellite constellation. They just love naming star things.
Like
They don't-
Star Trek, Stargate, Star Wars, Star Destroyer, Starfleet, that was fine, but like it's just getting out of hand at this point. It's just way out of hand.
Forgot the Starbase.
We have Starship, Starbase, Starlink, Starpipe, Starmind, Star Factory,
Starbricks.
Starbricks.
The Starbus, the one that shuttles people around Starbase.
Oh yeah, Star Fox was awesome, but like this is just getting out of hand here. I'm sorry, this is out of hand. Like you're like you've ruined the meaning of star. I swear. Like, it's just like, come on.
Yeah, I mean it's getting to a point where it's like, come on, folks, you know you have other names. Come on.
Right? Like
make a new name. 'Cause, like Starfall, right? The other day it launched on Falcon 9
Starfall and Star Shield. There's two others.
and Star Shield.
Oh my goodness. It's just gotten out of hand, Alex. I'm sorry, but it's gotten out of hand.
I kind of wish,
I think.
like, I was hoping Starship at one point will change names again, and got like a proper name of a rocket.
Nope.
You know. Yeah.
We have Starship as the entire system, with the ship as the upper stage and the super heavy booster as the first stage. I'm sorry, super heavy boosters. It's a stupid name. It's a stupid name. Okay.
But it's a booster that is super heavy. So
I mean, it is. All that is describes what it is. It's not like an actual name for it. It's not like it's Falcon 9. That actually sounds cool. Super heavy booster just sounds stupid.
I wouldn't mind super heavy for the booster and Starship for the ship. I just want the full rocket to be named differently. The one ick that I have about this rocket is that both the ship and the full rocket, they're both called Starship. And I don't like that. It's like, come on, you can do better. It's sort of...
Yeah.
I guess...
BFR was... ITS was peak. In the Interplanetary Transport System, that was peak.
It's funny because this comes back to, like... You know how there's... I'm gonna go a little bit out on a limb here.
We're already going on a tangent.
I know. We're all off the rails already, like, since the first second of this stream. But, you know, we're all on social media, and there's a lot of people out there that have a really huge love about the old space flight, and they're not really so much onto the new space stuff, right? I like both. I like old rockets. They're cool. They're things that go into space, right? But there is just one amazing thing from Starship of, like, it cannot be more old school US spaceflight to take a full rocket and name it after the second stage. Because hello Delta, right? Am I right? Because Delta was named after the upper stage of that rocket. Because it was originally the Thor missile, and it had the Delta upper stage, and then they started naming the whole thing just Delta. So Starship is just carrying on that legacy, I guess. It just feels quite on point for a US rocket to do that. But yeah. Oh, hang on. We just got a goal. No. Okay, I think this is Kevin. Okay, so we just got a goal set up in chat. 10 yellow super chats. Alex has to say start something in every sentence. How about no? Come on. That's not fair. Starlander. Some other people saying it's the Starship launch system. So it's SLS. I remember they were doing that a few times.
Oh, sorry. I was muted this whole time.
You were muted the whole time. Yeah, I was pinging
muted
you in
for
the
a
back
little
channel.
bit there. Yeah, sorry.
Did you have any reaction about the Delta thing that I mentioned? Hey,
I was laughing at that. I
It's
pulled
true,
an
it's
LSAR.
true.
I pulled an LSAR on Raptor sites. Because there's a running joke at this point. But I was gonna say that the frost for the LOX has gone down a lot. The methane hasn't a lot either. It's not that I doubt there's much methane left in there. I think it's just the frost is just holding on the tank a lot longer. But
yeah,
funny.
it's probably
There's
a lot
probably
easier
not
now.
much liquid left in that vehicle.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for the yellow arrow there. Need a better arrow. It's not a. It needs to be. Oh, hang on. What are you doing? No, it's actually probably lower than that, Kevin.
Oh, it's probably way lower than that. Probably most of the tank is empty.
Yeah, it's probably hidden by the flap.
They've been detanking for almost 45 minutes at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I would expect the ship to be nearly detanked. A lot of times, and especially over at Massey's, there's not a lot of wind to blow off the ice or whatnot. And not only that, the ship is also protected on one side by the heat shield. So,
Do you think?
The tank?
Do you think they? Whenever they actually develop the payload bay doors and whatever, do you think they're going to call that Stargate?
I hope not. Because, Stargate is a ring that creates an artificial wormhole between that Stargate and another Stargate to allow
But
travel,
it's a gate. Open the doors.
No. That allows travel across the galaxy or to other galaxies if you have more power and you dial an 8 chevron. And, of course, the 9 chevron's to Destiny. That's what Stargate is. It's not, that.
Gabriel mentioned in Stargaze, that reminds me of the Pegasus XL launch coming up later this week. Because that's obviously it's not Stargaze, it's Stargazer, right? That airplane that carries Pegasus XL. But see what I mean? Yeah, it's not a reusable rocket. It's not as cool as Starship and whatever, but it's still a rocket that drops off from an airplane. It's not the thing that I will say, oh, put $1 billion on this thing, or 10 billion or something like that, put all the, but it's cool still. Hey, if somebody will pay for it, sure, do your thing. It's sort of like Virgin Galactic, right? As well, it's not as flashy as the New Shepard launch, where it's all automatic. You got a booster landing and everything, and the capsule gently floats down and all that stuff. But you still get to ride a cool space plane, and it's hand piloted and all that stuff. It's old school stuff. That's it. Let's go back to questions, 'cause we've been ranting a long time about this. Star drained instead of detanked. We got a few questions, of course. People are coming in new because we also started the live stream a little bit late, to be fair. So let's recap a little bit what we have seen, what we saw, maybe 45 minutes ago. You said, right? So let's go through that, Ryan.
Well, we can start from the top. Tank farm started chilling down around 4. They started prop load 445, 450, give or take. And then they ended up filling the vehicle up for what there is no set load they now have for whether it's a spin prime static fire or igniter test. For block 3, they have the same load for everything, whether that's for booster or ship. They put as much methane as they think they need, and then as much LOX. They don't fully fill the rocket for the whole thing like some other company. Anyways, but we were figuring a test around 522 or so, and then at 524 and 22 seconds, we saw what looked like flashes below the vehicle. At least 2 distinct flashes, probably one for RVAX, one for sea levels. either they did an igniter test or we had an abort. I think it's an abort. But what was really odd is that the methane reclaim vent had already been running for like 2-3 minutes before that. So I don't know what they did, and I don't know why they did it. It doesn't make a lot of sense. But one way or the other is the ship is nearly detanked at this point. The methane reclaim vent has not been running much lately, which basically means that the ship is basically empty of methane. There, turns it back on again. And one other thing we cannot see is they have a new methane drain pond off to the right of this image. So they have a LOX drain pond and a methane drain pond, but they're down below the trees and shrubbery and everything else, so it's kind of really hard to see. Unless you're up in the air, you can't really see it. But they're pretty much detanked at this point. We're kind of just waiting on that last final depress. Depending on what the test was, if it was an igniter, the next thing I would expect is a spin prime. That's kind of what they did with Ship 39 and Booster 19. If not, and it was an abort, they'll take a look at it and they'll try again for a 6-engine static fire. I don't think they'd recycle and do for tonight. I think the earliest they would do, unless they knew exactly what went wrong, they could definitely detank and then recycle the ship. I wouldn't put it past them to do that. But I would expect it to be probably no earlier than tomorrow morning or sometime tomorrow. Because the thing is there's no closures, there's no nothing that tells us when they're going to test at Massey's. You just have to kind of watch out for the signs and be like, oh, hey, there's like everyone's left Massey's, or oh, hey, the LN2 or lock side is running or something like that. So those are basically your indications. And then you got about an hour and 20 minutes until like a T0. So.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if they try again today. We were talking about this earlier, that they closed the road to Massey's. We have no idea on what might happen, whether they might try again today if it wasn't aboard, or if it was a test. Maybe they could still try again today. But sometimes if it's an actual test, what happens usually is that they take their own time to go through the data and reset for the next day. Usually, at least in the past. The only time that was not the case was with SN9 5 years ago, more than 5 years ago. But yeah. Midnight Burner talking about, I thought they put out overpressure notice, not for Massey's? No. So they have never done that for Massey's because it's far enough away that you don't need that. If something were to happen, say like Ship 36, then, it's not close enough to anywhere where there are people or personnel in general that they would need something like that. It doesn't close as well the highway, so there's only one small road that goes to the Massey test site, and that's it. And so, they have always access to the beach and access to that road at all times. So nobody needs to be told, hey, we're going to close the road, because it's not going to get closed. And so there you have it. All right. Well, if you guys have more questions, tag at NASASpaceflight or at NSF in chat, and we'll try and answer those. I'm going to grab here. Yeah, from Mikazilla here, talking about, do you guys think we will see additional RVAC testing with the issue during Flight 12? Like, do we think maybe this will be a bit more involved than just straight away going with all 6 engines, for example? Bill Peak UK also had a similar question, like single engine or 6-engine test. Obviously, this is from like before the test happened, so obviously, what happened. But it was not a static fire test, right? And so, do you think whenever they get to that point, will it be 1 engine, multiple engines?
I don't really know, to be honest. I think it's just gonna be 6.
Straight to 6, then.
Yeah. Why do that's what they did with 39? They just went straight to 6.
Yeah.
There's no
They never.
reason to do a single engine anymore, really. Where they got approved the single engine is in space. That's it. On
Yeah.
Raptor 3.
Yeah, that's they never did that on Ship 39, so there's no reason why we should think that Ship 40 will also get will not the other way around. There's no reason to think that Ship 40 will suddenly need a single engine static fire test, right? Yeah. We'll see. There's also because obviously there's a problem that happened during flight with the RVAC, but that was on that flight, and we really don't know what happened, whether it was just that specific engine or if it was a ship problem. Obviously, you could think that if it had been a ship problem, then other things will have happened, right? Like maybe you will have had some kind of domino effect and other engines might have started failing and all that stuff. Like, for example, happened with previous ships in the past with was it Ship 33 and Ship 34, where engines started just going out. It was at least on Ship 33 it was a ship side of things, but then on Ship 34 it was an engine that went out, but it went out so energetically, I guess, that it took out the other engines as well. So we'll see. I'm guessing as we get close to the launch, we'll get information from SpaceX, and that will answer our questions.
I would expect a full depress soon here. Gotta be almost
Should
done.
we cover our ears? We're not that close,
I don't know
right?
if it'd be that loud from a mile plus away, but
Yeah, it gets a lot louder when we have booster testing at the pad and the cameras and microphones out there. This is a little bit further out. Yeah. All right. Let's see. Oh, this could be a problem for this type of stream. Hang on. Did I cue the wrong one? There. For a moment, the panel did not work for me. So just telling Jay that. Mikey MSFS saying, thanks for answering my question on the Flight 12 stream. We probably answered too many questions, to be fair. So I don't remember you exactly, but thank you for tuning into that stream. And now, do you guys know what happened to the plans of Starship being able to launch no matter the weather? Thanks for everything. I guess that's another way of saying, can they launch in the rain?
The plans to launch it in any weather are dependent on them launching it a lot. So, like, to truly learn how this rocket works in many different weather conditions and just in general, they need to fly it. And they've only done 12 flights. They need to fly it a lot more than that to really understand it better. Falcon 9, I know it's had its weather restrictions laxed over the years as they understand the rocket better. There are certain things you can't fly through with a rocket and certain things you could in theory. Starship is going to be one of those interesting ones because you don't really want to fly through a cumulus cloud or fly through a thunderstorm. I know planes do it, but you don't really want to do it with a plane either. You like to avoid that stuff because turbulence, lightning strikes, they're not great for the vehicle. If when a lightning strike hits an aircraft, it can put 20 to 30 holes into the airframe just by melting the metal and popping rivets out.
That's a lot of
And then
holes.
you have to go through and put rivets into all the holes. It'll blow out static wicks. It could damage. I recently saw one where the rudder got damaged. You had to replace the whole rudder. So it's not something you want to try to fly through. Starship will never be able to fly through anything no matter the weather. That's a simple fact. You're going to have weather that's severe enough where you can't fly through, period. Like a hurricane.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to fly it through a hurricane. That would be very dangerous and very bad for the vehicle, especially lightning strikes, wind, everything else.
And one might think, well, a
thunderstorms,
hurricane,
still
that's
no.
that's quite aggressive, right, Brian? And I would
Yeah.
say Starbase is on the line for that. And if they launch from Louisiana, boy. And also
Yeah.
like Florida as well. Like they have the 3 launch locations that they're either already launching from or planning to launch from. They're all in like hurricane areas, basically. Like it's places where you see hurricanes. Not too often. It's like
Starbase
one
doesn't
maybe
get hit
every 2
often.
years or so. But yeah.
The Cape isn't as hurricane prone as other areas. The Louisiana area, though, that is.
Yeah.
That can be. It's a lot more. That's more hurricane prone than the other 2. Depending
I
on
think-
storms that are coming up from the Caribbean through the Gulf.
Yeah, I think at least in the time that SpaceX has been developing Starbase, there's only been, I think, 2 hurricanes and 1 tropical storm, and they all came close, but not over Starbase. Like there was a
no
lot of
direct
rain.
hits.
Exactly, there was a lot of rain, bit more wind than usual, and things like that. But not really a severe weather event. Let's put it that way.
You go back through all the old dailies we used to have. There are a few of them that are hurricane centric because of all the water on Highway 4 and everything else.
Yeah, that's true. That's one of the things that does happen. That it gets, but to be fair, the road gets flooded even when it's not a hurricane. Like if it's just a strong thunderstorm, that it's not a like a cyclone side of thing, right? Or like it still is a very flood prone area. To be fair, from Florida, the time that they've been there with Starship, it's being also like maybe 2 hurricanes have gone like deep through the Kennedy Space Center. Hurricane Ian, I think, was before SLS launched on Artemis 1. I think there was another one around that time, but I don't remember. But I know there was a second one. Much weaker. Like it passed a bit further out, and it was already a tropical storm at the time, I believe. So, but yeah, I mean, it happens. It's just quite a rare occurrence. I mean, they've been here at Starbase at least actively doing stuff related to Starship since the end of 2018, basically, when Starhopper got started. So it's been a little bit under 8 years, and it's quite rare. It's quite rare.
Mm-hmm.
How many Raptor 3s to repel a hurricane?
A lot. There's. I don't think anyone realizes just how much energy there is in a hurricane. Like it's yeah. I kind of think ship is done at this point. I don't think we've seen a depress vent, but I'm kind of surprised it hasn't happened yet. Should be completely detanked at this point.
Yeah, we'll see. Got here, I guess, more future stuff way down the line from October Sky. Was that my I don't know. My name popped up from the top right. I'm guessing Kevin might have pushed the wrong button. October Sky here, saying Wineshot will sit in an interview with CNBC, just I think like last week, 2 weeks ago happened, and said 1 million people on Mars by 2035, 2040. Are we looking at the launch pad? Thanks. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna say I don't see that happening. I'm gonna be honest. It is true though.
No. Yeah, no.
Yeah. I'll put a note to this that I can see her reasoning where it's like they are planning thousands of launches a year in like 3 or 4 years. Of course, if that were to happen, then 1 million people to Mars by that time frame could happen rather easily because you're launching thousands of times per year. The problem is I don't see 1,000 or more launches a year even this decade, right? Like I expect that if it happens to happen in the 2030s. So yeah, I think that timeline might slip a bit, right? Those launch dates might slip a bit.
Like
Yeah.
a million. It's gonna be a while to put that many people on Mars. Like SpaceX can launch thousands of times all they want, but the material required to move stuff to Mars, to build everything, build all the habs, build green rooms, build areas to grow crops, nuclear reactor, OPSCOM stations, build a base like Happy Valley from For All Mankind, or to build a
And even that
separate
was
civilization like the Expanse takes a long time to build.
what I find interesting is that even on For All Mankind, it's been like what 30 years on Mars, and Happy Valley is maybe just a few thousand people. It's definitely not a
no.
million.
Yeah,
And they have fusion engines that can
yeah,
travel to
they
Mars
have
in like
cold fusion
30 days.
reactors, and yeah.
They can travel at any time. They don't have to wait about, any planetary windows or anything like that. They can travel at any point in time. They take 30 days to get there, basically like a month. So, yeah. And even there, they were like, okay, maybe not a million people.
Yeah. And pretty much all the frost is gone, especially on
yeah.
the methane tank. So.
All right, well, I guess that's probably. I mean, it's been like an hour now since, and we're already getting outro. I was getting to that, producers. But yeah, it's been about an hour since the event, whether it was an abort of the static fire test or a sort of igniter test or something. We don't know yet. We had that sort of thing going on in chat. We had actually, now that I mentioned in chat, there's still some 3 pieces of support from the goal. It was not achieved, by the way, Kevin. So you will not see me start saying star things because I start say so. There you go. So yeah, how about yes? Because I said, how about no? I don't do that. Starship Onyx, I guess Onyx or Indigo Space Probe. Alex needs to be challenged for a star. Alex sees tonight. Yeah. We'll see. But, oh my god. Star goal. It's the star goal of the star chat. Folks, we're going to wrap this up. Ryan, thanks for coming in here. We're going to be standing by and seeing if they do anything else, but we'll definitely continue this on Starbase Live. Thanks for being here, Ryan.
Pleasure as always, and hopefully we can get Ship 40 static fired tomorrow or something like that, and then the next step will be getting Booster 20 out once that and the pad are ready to go. So that'll be the next milestone for Flight 13 once 40 static fires, and hopefully it's tomorrow.
All right, before we log off. Flight 13. When? One date. You gotta give one date.
One date?
Yeah, just one date. Come on.
I'm going to say August 13th because it's a Thursday.
Not August 13th. That's the day after the eclipse. I want it to be like July 6th or something like that. No, but I think it's probably going to be something like maybe around July 25th or something like that. We'll see what happens. But in any case, thanks, Kevin, for pushing all the buttons, however many you have left, and all the pulling all the levers and all that stuff. Thanks all for watching as well, and we'll keep an eye on this ship. Again, as I said, maybe they try again today, but we have a lot of other things to deal with. So if they do, we'll pull up another live stream. But hey, you can keep watching on Starbase Live 24/7 because the commentary here wraps up, but our coverage of Starbase never ends. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.
And here we go.
There's the deluge. Here's ignition.
Doubling up.
Did it just do a Kerbal?
Back to the moon and beyond.
Put that in the big bag, Gino.
Back at home, we all have a lot of work to do, but from here, that sure looks like a perfect world.
Propulsion continues to be normal.
We did have an observation. 343 unfolds to go.
It's orange.
Water towers can fly!
Bingo! Right in the center.
Where's Jacqueline? There it is!
That was surreal.
That's not what we want to see.
No!
Oh my God.
Yikes. You bet. We don't need any more of these.